Ladies and gentlemen, when you sign up for the armed forces, you are well aware that one day you could be called upon to make the ultimate sacrifice for your country. That for you, your unit, your troops, and your country will always come first. Your family, your parents, your children will always come second. That is how it was for Colonel Manpreet Singh, the commanding officer of 19 RR. His junior, Major Ashish Dhanchok, and Deputy SP Humayun Bhat of the Jammu and Kashmir's Special Operation Group. They all were fathers to young children. Today, as we gather around our dining tables with our families, these children will receive the bodies of their fathers wrapped in the tricolour. It's the cost we pay to keep our motherland safe. And as we speak, anti-terror operations to flush out 2 terrorists hiding in a forest in Anantnag continues. It's been over 30 hours now. Based on intelligence inputs, Colonel Manpreet Singh was leading the team to bust the terror hideout. The 2 terrorists spotted them and opened fire. Colonel Manpreet was the first to be hit. Many others were injured. Helicopters were sent to evacuate them. They were heavily injured, but in the heavy gunfire, these helicopters simply couldn't land. Critical time was lost. Yesterday, Colonel Manpreet Singh, Major Ashish, and Deputy SP Humayun Bhat succumbed to their injuries. What happened next is something that both breaks our heart and at the same time is very, very heartening. 10 steps that spoke 1,000 words. Who you're seeing on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, is a retired Inspector General of Police of Jammu and Kashmir cadre. His name is Ghulam Hassan Bhat. Here he is on your screens, paying a final salute to his young 34-year-old son. His walk is unwavering. His back is straight, not a tear in his eye. Losing a child is probably the most devastating thing for a parent. And yet here he was, stoic in the face of such intense grief. All we can do is salute him and his family. That is Humayun's wife. At Colonel Manpreet's home in Panchkula, there were tears and anger. His mother unable to fathom the magnitude of her loss. His brother saying that the last time he had called, his phone was switched off.
मेरे साथ 2-4 दिनों में मतलब बात होती रहती थी। परसों मेरी बात हुई थी उनसे दोपहर 12 बजे। तो कल फ़ोन किया तो कल उन्होंने फ़ोन उठाया नहीं 12 बजे दोपहर को दोबारा। तो शाम को दोबारा ट्राई किया तो स्विच ऑफ हो रहा था जब पता लगा इसके बाद।
मेरा बेटा शहीद हो गया, मेरा कर्नल शहीद हो गया, मेरा मनप्रीत कर्नल शहीद हो गया, मेरे दिल दा टुकड़ा शहीद हो गया।
Now, as the operation in Anantnag rages on, it's important to note that 147 soldiers have lost their lives in anti-terror operations since August 5th, 2019. The opposition is raising concerns.
अभी सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा देश की रक्षा का है। प्रधानमंत्री कल जश्न क्यों मना रहे थे? प्रधानमंत्री देश की रक्षा के बारे में क्या चिंता करते हैं और इस पूरी घटना पे सरकार क्या कदम उठाने जा रही है, इसको उनको सामने आके बताना चाहिए। वरना अभी पार्लियामेंट का जब स्पेशल सेशन बुलाया जाएगा, विशेष सत्र, उस दौरान आम आदमी पार्टी के जो सांसद हैं वो निश्चित रूप से इस विषय को संसद के अंदर उठाने का काम करें।
जो कल हुआ है बहुत ही निंदनीय घटना हुई है, टेरर अटैक हुआ है। साथ ही साथ हमने देखा कि हमारे 3 जवान शहीद हुए हैं। उसी समय पर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की वाह भाई वाह और जश्न बन रहा था भारतीय जनता पार्टी के हेडक्वार्टर्स में। बीसीसीआई ने कोई निर्णय लिया। इंडिया पाकिस्तान का मैच कुछ दिन पहले भी हुआ। अब इंडिया पाकिस्तान का मैंने तो हमेशा विरोध किया है कि जब आतंकी माहौल बनाती है पाकिस्तान तो उनके साथ किसी तरीके का संवाद नहीं होना चाहिए, स्पोर्ट्स ग्राउंड पे हो या किसी सोशल ग्राउंड पे हो, किसी कल्चरल ग्राउंड पे हो या किसी तरीके का बायलैटरल रिलेशनशिप हो। पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी वो सरकार है जो पहले कहती थी कि 56 इंच का सीना दिखाएंगे और अब उनके साथ गलबैया किया था प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने। बगैर न्योते के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी पाकिस्तान उतर चुके।
जो है सोचना चाहिए, क्योंकि जब तक हम अलग थलग नहीं करेंगे पाकिस्तान को, नहीं तो उनके लिए बिजनेस एज नॉर्मल। हाँ जी ठीक है, बॉलीवुड वाले आ जाएंगे हमारे यहाँ, क्रिकेट मैच खेलने वाले आ जाएंगे हमारे यहाँ, सब ठीक है, चंगा है जी, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। शहादत हुई है, वही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि अगर उसके ऊपर दबाव डालना है तो उसको अलग थलग करना पड़ेगा। उनको पता चलना चाहिए कि आप नॉर्मल चीज़ों के अंदर हमारे साथ रिश्ता तब तक नहीं कर सकते जब तक आप खुद नॉर्मल नहीं हो।
Let me quickly introduce you to my guest this evening. Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain is a defense analyst, someone who's served long years in Kashmir. He's joining us on the broadcast. Meghna Girish is someone who knows the grief of Colonel Manpreet Singh's parents right now. She knows the grief of Captain Ashish right now. She is the mother of Major Akshay Girish, someone she lost her son in 2016 again in Kashmir. Meghna ji, I'm going to come to you first. And as we look at these pictures of Humayun Bhat's father, he's a retired IG of the Jammu and Kashmir police. He's lost his 34-year-old son. He comes for a final salute and he manages to be stoic. He manages to be dignified despite the grief he and his family must be going through right now. Could you help me understand these pictures that we are seeing? How it's possible for a man to lose almost everything and be so stoic in the face of such deep grief?
Shreya, what you're watching is actually pride over pain.
Yeah, go ahead, Meghna ji. I can hear you very clearly.
What
Go
you're
ahead.
actually
Make your point,
seeing
please.
is pride over pain. Thank you, Shreya. And at this point, you know, father of a Braveheart who himself was a senior police officer would have been in many operations in his time. And he definitely knows that his son gave it his all. And the courage that is required to defend our nation, nothing is greater than, you know, protecting our country and defending our country. Whatever sacrifices have to be made, whatever loss has to be borne, will be borne in private. But right now he knows the public eye is on him, and you can see his shoulders are hunched with grief. But he's holding back his pain. He doesn't want to break down in front of others because it's very important to respect the sacrifices of our Bravehearts. And they go out there day in and day out with so much of courage whenever called upon. And I think whether they're family members or others, we must respect that sacrifice. And breaking down publicly, I think will hurt even the persons who are still out there fighting. The encounter is not over yet. It's still going on. So that's what I would think. I mean, I have seen my husband do exactly the same.
Meghna ji, can I ask you, you lost Akshay in 2016, again in Kashmir. After that, every time there are pictures like these on screen, every time a young man loses his life defending this country, I want to ask you, what goes through your mind? Are you thinking to yourself, oh Lord, not another one?
Yes, I am thinking. I wish no family has to go through what families like us go through. And the pain that we have gone through, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemies. I do feel also, the pride. I share the pride that young men at the prime of their lives, the brightest, bravest, most patriotic young soldiers are of the Indian Army. And I say this with a lot of responsibility and a lot of pride. You can see even in this case, the officers led from the front. They didn't just say, you go ahead. They said, follow me. And that is why there are so many casualties amongst our young officers. I would definitely, my heart breaks each time. Each time I relive the same pain, and my heart goes out to the families. I hope God gives them the strength to be able to cope with the kind of loss, because this is something that will never go away all your life. And I say this after meeting with families who've lost their soldier, husbands, sons, siblings, fathers. I've met those who've lost right from the 71 war onwards. And they have not been able to, put it aside or say, I can go on with my life. So for us, losing Akshay, it's not even 7 years yet. I know there's a long way to go, and things will remain like this forever. But at the same time, I think we take great pride in the fact that to give one's life defending our country and our people, if one has to go, that's the most glorious way to do so.
General Hasnain, could I just bring you into this conversation? How did this happen? We are looking at the sequence of events. There are 2 to 3 terrorists who are holed up in a forest in Anantnag. A lot of people are asking, how is it that for the last 30 hours, these terrorists have managed to kill 3 of our braves, and yet we have not been able to get to them? I think, what our viewers need to understand is the priorities of the Indian Armed Forces, the challenges and the difficulties, and the lay of the land as well. And I don't think there is anyone better equipped to tell our viewers that than you, sir.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you very much for inviting me for this very important program. And may I start by expressing my deep regret. But I must also observe at the same time that the manner in which you and Meghna have expressed their grief over this incident, perhaps I am not empowered enough to be able to do it as well. I am also from a military family. Both Meghna and I come from military families. In fact, we come from the same regiment and the same battalion. And we've known each other as children. And I feel for her. From the day one, I felt for her in the same manner. So I'm glad that we have come together for this program today. And I'm very happy that you have asked me this question, because the nation needs to know this. They need to know the reality and the truth. Unfortunately, a lot of people have that perception that 5th of August, a decision was taken, and that was the end of this proxy war which our adversary Pakistan has launched against India. No, that was actually the beginning of it virtually, because things start getting worse as the strength of terrorists starts reducing. Things start getting worse. They start getting more desperate. You have to conduct many more operations to be able to take out that many number of terrorists. Earlier, you conducted a few operations and yet achieved a tremendous amount of results. Those results don't come your way. Now, with that background in our way, you have to also understand that this operation is not anywhere near the line of control. A lot of people have rung me up to ask me, where is this operation happening? It's happening deep inside Anantnag in the jungles of Kokarnag, which is a good 60-70 kilometers from Gulmarg, which is the nearest place where the line of control is. It's a jungled area, hugely jungled area, very broken terrain. And this is the same place, approximately the same place, the same unit which had killed Burhan Wani in 2016. This is the important thing to remember also.
Correct.
Now, I was in Kashmir only a month ago, and a month before that. While I was there, some operations were going on in the South Kashmir area where we lost 3 Jawans in a particular operation. Thereafter, we sort of energized the grid, and there was a tremendous amount of search and destroy operations, intelligence-based operations going on. Now, in the course of that, What I learned, and very authoritatively, is that the young Major Ashish, got the right intelligence, got the correct information of the location, etc. And when a situation like that comes, you go back to your CO. And your CO then wants to make sure that things are all correct. And he brings his best trained party with him. You merge the two parties together and start the operation. The Jammu and Kashmir Police SOG invariably joins in because all these operations are conducted as joint operations. That's why you find that the Deputy SP, the very brave Deputy SP, was also there in the operation. Now, while you're approaching this area, your intelligence can never be specific to say that it is at a particular grid reference that the terrorists are holed up. It is a generic information and you carry out a small search kind of an operation. So while you are approaching that area, you start getting more and more careful about it. You move tactically. But it's just unfortunate that our troops, as you very correctly said, what Meghna said, our officers have this tendency of always leading from the front. They don't allow their Jawans to be there right in front. They don't want their Jawans to look over their shoulders and look for decisions, etc. It's always they are there and they are the ones who will lead these operations. And in the course of such leadership, in the course of such operations, the first shots invariably are fired by terrorists because they are the ones who have the initiative. They are the ones who are holed up. They are the ones who are static and are observing you. So when that happens, the first rush, you may find an odd soldier getting injured or maybe even killed. But three officers, people of three officers of that rank is a very unusual thing. The last time we had an incident like this was in April of 2020 when CO of a 21RR was killed in the Handwara Rajwar forest area. And a CO of 21RR prior in 2000 was similarly killed by a compromise of intelligence. His own source had actually compromised the whole operation. So these are the kind of challenges which you meet. Now, for someone to say that mistakes have been made, I'm sorry, I will differ with you. In these kind of operations, people on the ground know best. Not me, not anyone else can dictate to tell them, this is how you do your operation. There are standard operating procedures, but all these procedures apply in particular situations. Thereafter, as they always say, the first casualty of any operation is the plan. You have to rethink, you have to review, you have to think on your feet, you have to put up your head under fire and lead your men into the action. All this ensures that you are always vulnerable. And therefore, once in a while, such unfortunate actions will take place.
General Hasnan, we are being told that the two terrorists who are holed up in these very thick jungles have been ringed in. I want to ask you whether that is entirely possible. We know they are still there because still, early evening at least, there were gunshots that were being heard in the general area. We have a reporter there. That is what he's reporting. But in a situation like this, it's, as I said, been more than 30 hours. How long do we expect this operation to go on? Because there have been, as as all of us know, there have been 3 fatalities. The army will be very careful sending in men and doing what they need to do next. How long do you anticipate that this operation will go on? Because the last time we saw such an operation, sir, again in the forest in Rajouri, it went on for days and days and days and days.
Shreya, there is no limit to the timing by which the army operates. The army has the capability, we have the resources, there are enough units there. 19RR is a 1100 strong unit. Only about 30-40 men and a few officers have been involved in this operation so far. And what I can understand from my normal knowledge of this area and the manner in which operations are conducted, you will find reinforcements have gone in. This morning's news told me that the Para-SF has also gone in, who do more specific intelligence-based operations.
Correct.
And a large cordon has been put around it. Technology is being used at the same time. So there are a lot of listening devices, mobile listening devices to latch on to their communications. There are drones which are flying over that area, but the forest cover is very, very thick. I doubt the drones can actually penetrate through it, but it's a good psychological pressure which is being put on the terrorists. The chances I give to the army succeeding in these operations is about 60-40. It's about 60% that they will be able to eliminate these two terrorists. If it doesn't happen in the next 48 hours, or maybe even 24 to 36 hours, I would say the terrorists have probably got away. Two terrorists in a place like this is like looking for a pin in a haystack. But one thing we must always recall, the army will get them. They will get them. There's no doubt about it. Even in the case of Rajouri, we got some of them subsequently, and operations are still underway in the Rajouri area to ensure that we sort out the rest of them. In this case too, two terrorists is a very small number. They're operating as a pair there, and it's not difficult to be able to get out from a cordon in the night. You cannot lay a cordon at every meter of the area around you. The cordon will be there, it will be closing in. I only hope we don't suffer any other casualties, but I'm quite sure that finally the terrorists will get eliminated. But if it doesn't happen in the next 24 to 36 hours, it is a likelihood that they would have escaped.
Okay. Meghna ji, before we wrap this discussion, there is a question that I want to put to you first and then to General Hasnain as well. Every time India loses a soldier, an officer, especially in Kashmir, there are two things that happen. One, there is a call, stop playing cricket with Pakistan. And second, there is a call, start talking to Pakistan, resume talks with Pakistan. I want to ask your view on these two comments that come to us and snowball into a controversy every time something like this happens.
Shreya, I think we shouldn't be playing with Pakistan at a time like this. And why just India as a country? Pakistan has been a terror supporter and a terror sponsor, infamous worldwide. So many terrorists from across the world are connected to Pakistan. Osama bin Laden was, sheltered in Pakistan. Dawood Ibrahim is, I don't know whether he's still around there. So everybody knows that Pakistan is a terror supporter and a terror sponsor. If in the past countries were not allowed to play sport, whether it was because of South Africa during the apartheid, or whether it was Afghanistan because of the Taliban totalitarian regime, I don't understand why Pakistan should not face the same consequences. And we as neighbors, we've been enemies right since partition. They've been attacking us all the time. And just because they can't win a war against us, they keep sending in terror and terror supporters and terror sponsors. These are all suicidal, inhumane people who are ready to blow themselves up and take others along with them. And our soldiers are, if we consider our soldiers part of the larger family that is India, I think every citizen must look within and see on which side are you on. You've got to take a stand. Solidarity is important and the messaging is important. If they're just playing all the time and, on one side we're losing people, it sends a very, very awful message to people, to families who are losing their loved ones like this.
Okay. General Hasnain, I know you're a cricket enthusiast, but where do you stand on this? Again, as I said, बात उठती है हर बार, कुछ होता नहीं है. In 3 days we forget, we go back to our lives, and then again, we lose a soldier in Kashmir, and the same debate starts again. Is it diversionary? Are we failing to ask the right questions, General Hasnain? For example, we were led to believe that there is, infiltration has stopped. Now we have top officers in Kashmir telling us that no, it hasn't stopped. It's actually coming from Punjab and it's coming from Nepal.
Yes, Shreya, let me try and explain. This is a difficult question and will always create some controversy or the other. Let's just lay down the facts, a few facts. As to the last point which you made, infiltration has never stopped. Even in North Kashmir through the Shamshabadi, infiltration continues. At any stage, if someone tells me there is zero infiltration there, I will always challenge him. Yes, the direction has also changed. More coming in from Punjab and the Jammu border. It's an easier border to cross. More resources are available there in the sense the drones can be flown in, etc. So a lot of equipment also probably, fake currency, etc. enters from that route. It's simpler to do it. Having finished that, let's come to the larger question of India-Pakistan relations. There is no doubt that terrorists to survive in the valley and continue their mission, so-called mission as such, cannot be done. This cannot be achieved without the ecosystem which is supported by Pakistan. The whole proxy war ecosystem has been set up since 1987, 2 years before 89, 1987, and for the better part of the last 36 years, this ecosystem has supported them. We have tried to dismantle the ecosystem to a great extent. Our intelligence agencies have done a wonderful job in the last 4, 5, 6 years. But we can never say that we have completely eliminated and neutralized it. Having said that, this operation is an intelligence-based operation, not a planned operation by terrorists. This is an intelligence operation, and we have been able, unfortunately, we have suffered, but I'm sure that we will ultimately neutralize and eliminate the terrorists. As far as the relationship with Pakistan is concerned, we have already taken the correct decision not to have any bilateral ties. There are, well, diplomatic ties are on, but not at the High Commissioner level at the moment. It was Pakistan which chose to call back his High Commissioner, and so did we after the 5th of August 2019. Besides that, bilaterally, we are not playing any games. But we must remember, multilaterally, we are engaged. Multilaterally, we are engaged in the United Nations. We are engaged in the SCO. And, forums such as this, we continue to, obviously, because we cannot dictate to others. Now, there is an option that you can call off all games, all matches, everything in relation to Pakistan. In that case, you must therefore break off diplomatic relations too. That would be the natural corollary to all this. And at the same time, then look forward to that in multilateral forums, etc. You will have nothing to do with them. Which means that when Pakistan presence is there in the United Nations, when they are speaking there, you will do a walkout every time. Similar thing with the SCO, you will not come to the SCO summit if there's a Pakistan representation there. Now, this is a very difficult thing to manage diplomatically. I'm only laying out all the things for her. I'm not saying what is correct and what is wrong. At the end of it, I'm convinced the government of India will do the correct thing, will do the right thing. It's a very serious matter, but we have got a Ministry of External Affairs which is well seized of it. They know what are the implications of their various decisions, and we've got the right leader at the highest level who will ensure that he takes the right decision.
Okay.
There are sentiments involved. All of us are sentimental.
All right.
All of us are sentimental. We are emotional about all these things. But at the end of the day, the government of India is the one which is empowered to take the decision, and I'm sure they will take the right decision.
General Hasnain, Meghna Girish, we speak to each other on what has been a very sad day for the nation. I thank you both for your time and expressing how you feel about what has happened in Kashmir. Thank you very much for joining us on Mirror Now on the Urban Debate. It was good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
On that note, I'm slipping into a quick break on the show. There's much more coming up on the other side. Do stay with us.